The Boston Red Sox are currently tied for the major league lead in blown saves so far this season, but they don't have a closer problem. More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's completely free, so you might as well tune in because Locked On is your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. So sorry for dropping this episode a lot later in the day than I usually do. I was actually away over the weekend visiting and catching up with a couple of my friends from college. So I ended up getting home really late last night, which, by the way, it was pouring on my drive home. And it's supposed to pour the rest of the week. So who knows if the Red Sox are even going to be able to play any games this week. But another frustrating series for the Boston Red Sox as they dropped 2 of 3 against the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. They won the first game 6-1, which was nice. Then they fell 4-3 in game 2 and took a 5-4 loss in game 3 of that series. This team does not know how to win close games. And it is incredibly frustrating. And one of the biggest reasons why they struggle in close games is because their pitching can't hold leads in close games. And that's been an issue. They can't seem to figure it out when they are only winning by 1 run or they're losing by 1 run. They can't get that big hit to score the run that they need. And that's something they are seriously going to have to figure out. Incredibly frustrating. So, essentially, the Red Sox have some things that they need to work through. And from a pitching perspective, you can definitely say that that is the biggest thing that is causing these woes. They are 18-18 on the season right now. A bad loss for them on Sunday as they had a lead and couldn't hold it. 5 of the last 6 losses for the Red Sox have been by a single run, and they are just 4-9 in 1-run games. It has been a serious problem. I'm going to be talking about it a little bit more on today's show, as well as Hunter Dobbins. Could he be a regular in the Red Sox rotation at some point? And a player that the Red Sox did acquire today. So, talk about some frustration with this Red Sox team and just another series where things did not go their way. And they don't have a closing problem, but they do have a problem when it comes to blowing saves. And it's interesting because if you look at all of the numbers, Aroldis Chapman has not been the issue. The Red Sox are tied with the Phillies for the major league lead in blown saves right now with 8. But Aroldis Chapman is a perfect 4-for-4 in save opportunities. So when he's coming in the 9th inning, he's been reliable. It's the guys pitching before him that have been the issue. It's the setup men that have been an issue. Garrett Whitlock on Sunday in that game gave up a game-tying 2-run single in the 7th inning to blow the Red Sox lead. And then Justin Slaten went and took the loss when he allowed 2 runs in the 8th inning on Sunday, ultimately leading to the Red Sox losing 5-4. Whitlock has blown saves in back-to-back outings, making it 2 overall for him. Justin Slaten, Greg Weisser, and Zach Kelly, who's now in AAA, each have 1. And Justin Wilson has 3 blown saves. Alex Cora had something to say about it after the game. He said, tough week for the bullpen, but they've got good stuff. They're good pitchers. We just have to make adjustments. These guys have been struggling, and even Justin Slaten and Garrett Whitlock, who we could kind of pinpoint at the beginning of the season as guys who could be reliable out of the bullpen, they have also been struggling. Garrett Whitlock had a streak of 6 straight scoreless outings before giving up a game-tying 3-run homer to Anthony Santander at Toronto in his previous outing on Wednesday. And then Slaten gave up a go-ahead 3-run homer to Vlad Jr. in his previous outing on Thursday. We all know how I feel about that. Why the Red Sox didn't just walk him during that at-bat is still beyond me. But both Whitlock and Slaten have been struggling a lot as of late. Alex Cora said we have to make sure we execute. There were a lot of 2-strike hits, and we've just got to be better. The Red Sox rank 14th in the majors in reliever ERA right now with a 4.22, while they are 4-9 in one-run games, including 2 one-run losses in their past 2 games. 5 of their last 6 losses have been by 1 run, and the other one was only by 2 runs. Whitlock, who gave up a game-tying 2-run single to Ryan Jeffers in the 7th inning. It's definitely been frustrating with him because we really do need him to be reliable because the Red Sox don't really have anybody else besides Chapman right now who has been consistently pitching well in the late innings in high leverage. And you do wonder if maybe they'll start trying Liam Hendriks in those spots, because now that he's had a few outings since being back, he is starting to look a little bit sharper, not giving up as many hard hit balls, and he is just looking like the command is a little bit more there. So while I do feel like he might need a little bit more time before he throws in high leverage, it might be something for the Red Sox to consider, seeing that their high leverage guys who they normally would go to have been struggling. So it's definitely a thought. Alex Cora said if you look at the pitch to Jeffers that Whitlock gave up, it was right down the middle. He hung an off-speed pitch in the middle. Whitlock said, my stuff was good today besides the hanging slider, which, yes, that hanging slider definitely he didn't really have. So it would have been nice for him to move away from it a little bit. Usually it's a very good pitch for him, but he just wasn't seeing it well in that game. Then Slaten came in and pitched the 8th and allowed an RBI double on a 2-strike 4-seam fastball to Harrison Bader that made it 4-3, and he had gotten ahead in the count 1-2. Cora said the fastball to Bader was up in the zone. He was hunting. He got it and put a good swing on it. The RBI single he then allowed after that to Trevor Larnach that made it 5-3 came on a 1-2 curveball. Slaten said he has had really good stuff the past 3 outings despite a blown save and 2 losses. He said getting ahead of guys, getting the swing and miss, but it's not happening in 2-strike counts when it matters the most, and that's the most frustrating part. I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot. I get to those positions and I'm not executing. And that is the biggest thing that I've noticed with some of these more high leverage guys that the Red Sox usually can count on that haven't been as great as of late, is they're not really knowing what pitch to throw in 2-strike counts. They're not really executing when they need to in those types of situations. And that's something they need to get better with. Figure out what their lockdown pitch is and keep throwing that in 2-strike counts until they figure it out. Whitlock pitched a scoreless 6th inning before running into trouble in the 7th, and he gave up a leadoff walk to Bader. Whitlock said a walk and 2 singles. The first inning was really good, and then a leadoff walk and 2 singles scored 2 runs. I mean, yeah, the first inning was good that you pitched, but it doesn't really matter if the rest of it isn't good and you're giving up a lead that the Red Sox had. Now, what I'm thinking the Red Sox could do for right now temporarily is, because of the fact that Whitlock and Slaten have been struggling in their last few outings, maybe you put them into a game in which the Red Sox are either blowing out their opponent or they are being blown out by their opponent. Next time that happens, at least to try to get back on track and kind of experiment with and figure out what pitches aren't working, because high leverage is not the time to experiment with different pitches. And maybe it's a matter of their location isn't right on some of the pitches that they're throwing. And for them to be able to throw in lower leverage situations, hopefully they can figure out what pitches still work for them and what pitches don't, and what they need to move away from and go back to. Maybe temporarily you need to put them in those types of roles out of the pen, because it's been really frustrating that the guys that they thought they could rely on the most out of the pen going into this year have been some of the problem as of late. Now, do I think this is going to continue? No. I think, when a pitcher misses his spot, there's not much he can really do about that. Like Alex Cora said, and I do agree, both Slaten and Whitlock have good stuff. They both have a really good pitch arsenal that they use that has found them a lot of success. The biggest question mark I had with Justin Slaten going into this season is, was last year a fluke? Obviously, he was arguably the Red Sox most reliable reliever last year. Was that a fluke, or is that really him as a pitcher? We'll have to see how he throws this year in order to make that kind of conclusion. And he started off the season great. And now that he's had these problems over his last few outings, it really turns heads in regards to the Red Sox and, oh, did they bank too much on Justin Slaten? Is he not the pitcher that he was last year? And now we're really starting to see the pitcher that he truly is. I feel like it's too early to draw those types of conclusions. I just think it's been a rough patch for him. He does need to turn it around quickly. So does Whitlock. Maybe try throwing them in low leverage for a little while. Maybe experiment with somebody else in high leverage while they figure things out. I mean, for example, Luis Guerrero just got sent back down to AAA when they reactivated Brennan Bernardino from the bereavement list. He could be a guy. So far in his time in a Red Sox uniform, he has impressed out of the bullpen. Maybe you bring him back up and try to give him a chance in high leverage, and maybe you send Weissert down or Justin Wilson to try to work on some mechanics. Justin Wilson overall, in terms of his overarching numbers, have not been terrible. But when you look at Greg Weissert as a whole, he's been pretty inconsistent. Bernardino has been inconsistent. So the bullpen as a whole really needs to be examined of, do they truly have arms that they can rely on? And if they can't, what actually is going wrong? Maybe somebody does need time in AAA to figure things out, or maybe they need to be taken out of a high leverage spot. It's great that their closer is performing, and they have Aroldis Chapman, who has been done really well in that spot. But these other players need to step up and do really well as well. And what's the solution? Keep an eye on it. Maybe the Red Sox try to change some things around and use guys in different roles until they are able to figure it out. So we'll see how that plays out. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher who has actually pitched pretty well for the Red Sox over a short time, and that's Hunter Dobbins. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Definitely good to make sure you're keeping track of your finances and knowing what you're spending money on when. I'm telling you, these hackers have been getting really good at what they do. So you can never be too careful when it comes to that stuff. So it's definitely worth investing in Monarch Money. I promise you. After a frustrating series for the Red Sox over the weekend, they now sit at an even 18-18, 2 games behind the first place Yankees in the AL East, who are 19-15. Luckily for them, the rest of their division has not been playing very good baseball. The Blue Jays and Rays are both sitting at 16-18, with the Orioles at 13-20 at the bottom. That one has definitely been a surprise. Their pitching has just not been holding up. And what's frustrating for the Red Sox is, from a talent standpoint, they can play better than they are. They just aren't executing in the right spots. And again, I apologize for the late drop of the episode today. Got back home super late last night from visiting my friends from college, but rest of the week will be on time when I usually post episodes. But in talking about the Red Sox pitching, you think about the guys who are supposed to be stepping up, like Justin Slaten and Garrett Whitlock. They've been struggling as of late. And even when they weren't a problem, when they were performing really well early on in the season, you then had your other middle relief guys who still haven't been overly reliable. For example, a guy named Brennan Bernardino, who pitches in middle relief, and Hunter Dobbins, who made a start for the Red Sox on Saturday, the middle game of the series. They ended up taking a 4-3 loss in that game. Dobbins went 5 2/3 innings, giving up 7 hits and 4 earned runs with 2 walks and 2 strikeouts. So Brennan Bernardino, came in relief of him in the 6th inning. And at the time, the Twins had 3 runs on the board, and the Red Sox didn't want to give up another run. But you could tell from a velocity standpoint that Dobbins's pitches were traveling a little bit slower. His fastball generally during the start was hitting about 96, which is a good speed. And then by the time the 6th inning came along, he was hitting around 92. So he was definitely starting to get a little bit tired by that point. Definitely overall had good command in the start, but he does need to try to generate more swings and misses. He threw 92 pitches and 59 of them went for strikes. So he later on in the outing wasn't really slipping in terms of his command. It was still where it was at the entirety of the game. It was just more that his velocity was going down, and you could tell he was starting to get a little bit fatigued. But I think Alex Cora was trying to see if he could finish that inning. He was unable to. Brendan Bernardino came in and gave up a run right away. So it's really hard finding guys who can be super reliable in the bullpen. And that's just another prime example of who does Alex Cora go to in those situations. But while the bullpen may be having its struggles right now, the starting pitching has actually been pretty good. Prior to Hunter Dobbins making that start on Saturday, the Red Sox has had 6 straight quality starts in a row. So that's really solid. I mean, that you have starters who have been pitching really well. I mean, Tanner Houck came off of a really good start the other night. Brian Bayo looks good in his start on Friday night. And then Garrett Crochet always is going to be good for this Red Sox team. Walker Buehler has been turning things around lately and has been pitching really well. So what is a quality start? Just a reminder in case you are unsure. A quality start is a statistic for a starting pitcher defined as a game in which the pitcher completes at least 6 innings and permits no more than 3 earned runs. So it's very good, and it's a good sign for the Red Sox that they had gotten 6 consecutive quality starts, because it means their starters were able to pitch deeper into the games and not give up a whole lot of runs. And pitching deep into games was a problem for the Red Sox starting rotation last year. So it's promising that they're a little bit better in that area this year. Just wish the bullpen could figure it out and keep up. So you have the bullpen who hasn't been that reliable, but Hunter Dobbins has definitely overall been a nice surprise for this Boston Red Sox team. He's a guy with a very strong pitch arsenal, and he was showing off that arsenal in that start on Saturday. And one of the biggest things I like about Hunter Dobbins is that he has that dog mentality of give me the ball and I'll get it done. And I did speak with Woo Sox pitching coach Dan DeLucia in Worcester, and he was talking a little bit about Hunter Dobbins and what he brings to the table that makes him such a good pitcher. So take a listen to that.
So Hunter Dobbins, obviously, he was called up a couple times and pitched pretty well both times up there. Yeah. What do you think it is about, his approach that worked for him well when he was called up?
I think he has the best thing he has is like a bulldog mentality. He's not really afraid of anybody, so that when you get your first call up, your debut, and then you have to come back down and change your schedule and then go back up, he just makes it work. And he's like, sounds good. There's no excuses about him. He's a bulldog. Give me the ball, I'll go shove it down someone's throat, no matter who it is. So that's the best quality. The second best quality is his stuff. He's got a good arsenal of pitches that he's able to throw out both to righties and lefties. And he can run the fastball up to under 90s too. So I think a combination of those two is a reason why he's had success so far, and I think he'll see sustained success in the future.
So there's definitely a lot of confidence around Hunter Dobbins because of the fact that he just has a really good arsenal, genuinely good raw stuff. And also the fact that he just has an attitude of give me the ball and I will get it done. And those are the types of pitchers that are going to succeed in Major League Baseball. The guys who are like, I don't care, give me the ball and I'll get it done no matter what it is. He has a really nice arsenal that he relies on 5 pitches primarily, a 4-seamer, a slider, a split finger, a sweeper, and a curveball. He did have a few pitches that he was mixing in a little bit more than others, used his four-seamer a lot in his start on Saturday. He also threw a changeup every once in a while that was very sharp, and the slider is a really hard pitch to hit. So because of the fact that he has this deep and impressive arsenal, it's going to give him the tools to succeed. Could he become a regular in the Red Sox rotation? That's a question that's been, brought up over the course of recently, because especially with Walker Buehler being in an unknown situation right now in terms of when he's going to be able to come back, Dobbins is a guy who could end up slotting into the rotation a little bit more. Or even when Buehler does come back, do they want to keep Dobbins around, even if it's in a longer relief type of role as opposed to starting? Because when the Red Sox rotation is fully healthy, there might not be a clear spot for him there, but maybe they consider keeping him around to pitch in long relief, because he does have the arsenal for it, and he does have the good pitch selection knowledge. He knows kind of when to throw what pitches generally, and it's really been giving guys trouble. Now, granted, part of this is because he's only made a few starts in Major League Baseball, so opposing hitters don't have a lot on him, and they can't really do a lot of research in advance on the type of pitcher that he is and what he likes to throw as much as they can with a guy like Lucas Giolito or Walker Buehler, who have been in the league longer, and they have more to go off of in terms of the types of pitches that they throw. So Hunter Dobbins is a guy who they're unfamiliar with a little bit more, but he still definitely has the raw ability to be able to go out there and succeed and be a guy that Red Sox fans can continue to be excited about, because I really like what I've seen from him overall. And when you think about where the Red Sox rotation is at right now, having him in there regularly, if he continues to pitch well, will be a huge boost. So definitely really excited to see what he continues to do from here. I think the plan moving forward with him, when it comes to working with him, is just to continue to have him improve on some pitches that he doesn't throw as much, continue to incorporate them a little bit more regularly into his arsenal so that he can fool opposing hitters a little bit more. But in terms of his raw ability, a lot of people around the Red Sox organization feel very excited about him and confident in him. And just from the interactions that I've had with him in Worcester, he definitely is 100% focused on, I want to do what needs to be done to improve my game and help my team win. And he doesn't take any day for granted. And he just has this attitude of no excuses. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it done. And one thing I really liked about his start on Saturday was that he didn't really experience a whole lot of defining trouble. When there was base traffic, he was able to keep his composure and get out of it until he started getting fatigued in that sixth inning. But that's another great quality to have as a pitcher, is being able to keep your composure when you do have base traffic. And that's something that I've noticed that he's done well over the course of his first few starts in a Major League Baseball uniform with the Red Sox. So looking forward to seeing how he does moving forward from here. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about a minor trade that the Red Sox did make to technically complete a trade from earlier in the season. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Definitely a useful tool to have for those of you who are trying to grow your business and put more attention on it. So I highly recommend checking out Upwork and spending some time figuring out what they do and how they can help you, because they definitely can. The Red Sox definitely still have some pitching struggles, as the relief pitchers have not exactly matched up to what the starting pitchers are doing in terms of their capability as of late. And that's something that needs to change soon. And hopefully the Red Sox can find the right combination of relievers to use and kind of knowing when to use who. But they did complete a minor league trade on Monday. They added some minor league pitching depth, and it ultimately ended up completing a trade with the Brewers from last month. So on April 7th, the Red Sox executed a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers that sent right-handed pitcher Quinn Priester to Milwaukee, and they acquired outfielder Yoferi Rodriguez, a competitive balanced draft pick, 33rd overall in this year's draft, and a player to be named later or cash considerations. And the player to be named later, they acquired today, John Hurlbut. So this is somebody who they are hoping can just provide some value in the minors. He's a Pennsylvania native, was Milwaukee's 5th round pick at 156th overall out of Old Dominion University last season. He signed for a $322,500 bonus, which was below slot. He didn't make his professional debut until this year with Single A Carolina. The righty has posted a 3.0 ERA over 8 earned runs given up with 34 innings pitched, with 31 strikeouts and 5 walks while holding opponents to a 180 batting average. They have gone just 16 for 89 against him. He was primarily a reliever in college, so he's a guy that the Red Sox are likely viewing as a reliever right now, but because he's only been in Single A, don't expect him to be a guy who's going to come up and make some sort of big impact on the major league team right now. And the reason for that is because you don't want to call up a guy who doesn't really have that type of experience, and you need to make sure that he's going through the levels that he's supposed to and that the timing is right for him to eventually come up. So the reason the Red Sox acquired him, I'm sure they see some upside in him that could provide a lot of value within the organization. He's a guy that the Red Sox are going to continue to monitor. He'll start at the lower levels within the Red Sox organization, but we know that Craig Breslow has been big on pitching depth and acquiring guys to help fill out some of those minor league teams within the system. So this is a guy that the Red Sox probably see potential with, and they want to see how he develops in the minors. And then eventually, if there is an opportunity for him to get called up by the Red Sox, I'm sure that's something that they wouldn't close the door on and wouldn't be opposed to doing down the road over the next couple years or so if he continues to throw well. So definitely good numbers so far that he's been putting up. I am curious to see, how many pitches he has in his arsenal right now and what he's able to utilize effectively in the Red Sox system, and what can the Red Sox pitching coach group do to work with him to get him up to speed and get him at the point to where he's throwing competitively, because the Red Sox definitely haven't always had a lot of pitching depth in their system. And even so now, they definitely have some talent there, but not to the level that it could be. And whenever they have the opportunity to acquire some pitching depth, they definitely need to take advantage of that. I didn't expect a player to be named later to be some significant name that they acquired in the trade. So it makes sense that it's a depth guy to throw in Single A and then maybe keep working his way up. And then the Red Sox eventually, if he shows more potential, could maybe give him the opportunity, but definitely not this season. At least that's very doubtful unless he goes through the system very quickly like Christian Campbell did, but I'm not seeing that happen. So definitely some upside there in terms of the numbers that he has provided overall so far. Very short sample size, however, though, so it's hard to really fully say what he has that he could bring to the table in a longer term sense. But it's a depth move, and it helped the Red Sox to complete a trade. But the biggest thing that I am still frustrated about when it comes to this team is that they can't just put everything all together. Early on in the season, the pitching was good, and then they couldn't hit. They finally started to hit, and now the bullpen is struggling and isn't able to put the pieces together. So I'm really waiting for the Red Sox to start playing together and put everything together, all aspects of their game, because from a talent standpoint on the roster, it's undeniable that they have the ability to be able to succeed. It's just a matter of how do we execute that? how do we get everybody on the same page? How do we get everybody to be playing their best baseball at the same time? And obviously that's easier said than done, but it just feels like there's really something missing right now with this team that could put them from an average where they're at right now team to being completely over the top. And it's just been very frustrating. They've shown glimpses of their capability of winning. And I know they've had injuries and all that, but it's definitely just been frustrating to watch them be so up and down this year. I thought that was going to be resolved a little bit after last season, but they definitely still have a shot. It's still early in the season. They are lucky that the American League has just been average this year in general. So from a playoff standpoint, they're still well in the mix to be a team that could go to the playoffs. They just have to play good baseball. There's no doubt about that. They have to be able to stay focused and they have to be able to execute. And they are not executing in all aspects of their game right now. And it's just been frustrating, but hopefully they continue to play good baseball and put the pieces together and not lose horrific one-run games, because that is something that they just don't know how to do, is win those games. So we'll have to see how things go for them moving forward. But I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. For your next stop, check out Locked On MLB Game Night on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. That show is great. Makes you up to date on every game that went on that night. So make sure you check that out next after you finish this. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.